Our story begins in the 2nd century BCE, a pivotal era in the ancient world. It was a time of immense upheaval, in a world shaped by clashing empires vying for dominance and control. In the heart of this turmoil, nestled amongst the rocky terrain and sun-baked earth, lies Judea, the ancestral home of the Jewish people, a land steeped in history and tradition. For centuries, through trials and tribulations, they've held fast to their unique customs, a testament to their resilience and unwavering spirit. Central to their identity was their unwavering belief in one God, a radical concept in a world of polytheistic worship. This monotheistic faith set them apart, distinguishing them from their neighbors and shaping their unique worldview. After Alexander the Great's conquest, the ancient world was forever changed, ushering in a new era of cultural exchange. Greek culture, Hellenism, swept across the region, influencing art, philosophy, and governance. Judea, strategically located, was caught between two powerful successor kingdoms, each vying for control of the region. The Ptolemies in Egypt, with their rich history and vibrant culture, and the Seleucids in Syria, ambitious rulers seeking to expand their dominion. Under the Ptolemies, Judea enjoyed a period of relative peace and stability, allowing its people to flourish. But this tranquility was not to last, as the Seleucids soon seized control, bringing with them a new set of challenges. The Seleucids, fervent champions of Hellenism, saw Greek culture as superior and sought to spread its influence far and wide. They sought to unify their vast empire under the banner of Greek culture, promoting its adoption in all aspects of life. This ambition inevitably clashed with Judea's deep-rooted traditions, creating a growing tension between the ruling power and the local population. The stage was set for a monumental struggle, a conflict that would determine the future of Judea and its people. It was not just a clash of armies and political ambitions, but a profound struggle of ideas, values, and beliefs. Would Judea embrace the new ways, forsaking its ancient heritage in favor of Hellenistic culture? Or would it resist, clinging fiercely to its identity and fighting for the right to preserve its unique way of life? The answer to this question would not emerge from the halls of power or the decisions of kings, but from a small village, nestled in the Judean hills, and an ordinary family whose courage and determination would defy expectations and alter the course of history. The coming conflict would test the very soul of a people, pushing them to their limits and revealing the depths of their faith. In this land of hills and ancient cities, where echoes of the past resonated through the ages, the fate of a faith, the destiny of a nation, would hang precariously in the balance. The crossroads of history had arrived, demanding a choice that would shape the future for generations to come. And in Judea, a land yearning for freedom, the first sparks of resistance, fueled by unwavering faith and a burning desire for self-determination, were about to ignite, setting the stage for an epic struggle. Hellenism's influence seeped into Judean society, dividing the people from within. Many elites in Jerusalem embraced Greek customs, language, and even built a gymnasium, offensive to traditional Jews. This cultural shift created a rift. Hellenized Jews sought reform, while traditionalists clung to the Torah and ancient laws. The conflict was not just Jew versus Greek, but Jew versus Jew, a struggle for the heart of their culture. King Antiochus IV Epiphanes saw this division as an opportunity. He allied with the Hellenized elite, turning the sacred office of high priest into a political tool. Soon, persecution followed. Greek culture was enforced by law, and traditionalists were branded as rebels. The threat now came from the throne itself, aided by those who had abandoned their heritage. Judea braced for a storm of oppression unlike any before. The very existence of the Jewish faith was at stake. Antiochus's decrees struck at the very core of Jewish life, threatening its most sacred traditions and beliefs. These edicts were not merely political, they were a direct assault on the spiritual identity of the Jewish people. Sabbath observance, the study of the Torah, and the sacred rite of circumcision were all outlawed, punishable by death. The ultimate insult, a profound desecration, was the erection of a pagan altar to Zeus within the very temple itself, and the unthinkable act of sacrificing a pig upon it, an animal considered unclean in Jewish law. Many Jews chose martyrdom, facing torture and death, rather than betray their faith and submit to these sacrilegious demands. But in the small village of Modine, nestled in the Judean hills, the spark of resistance was about to ignite. Mattathias, a respected and elderly priest, a man of deep conviction, and his 5 courageous sons staunchly refused to bow to the king's tyrannical orders. When a royal official representing the might of the Seleucid Empire demanded a public pagan sacrifice in Modine, Mattathias stood firm and resolutely refused. In a moment of profound betrayal, a Hellenized Jew stepped forward, eager to comply with the official's demands. Mattathias, seized by a righteous fury and unwavering zeal, killed him instantly. He then turned his wrath upon the royal official and struck him down as well. The pagan altar, a symbol of oppression, was swiftly and utterly destroyed. With this courageous and defiant act, the flames of rebellion erupted throughout Modine. Mattathias, raising his voice for all to hear, called out, "Let all who are zealous for the law and covenant follow me." He and his sons, knowing the full weight of their actions, fled into the rugged hills of Judea, seeking refuge from the inevitable reprisal, leaving behind their homes, their possessions, and everything they had ever known. Their act of defiance was not merely a local skirmish, it was a direct and audacious challenge to the vast and powerful Seleucid Empire. The seeds of a widespread revolt, a fight for religious freedom, had been sown in the soil of Judea. Ordinary villagers, farmers and artisans, inspired by Mattathias's courage, became the first rebels, taking up arms against a seemingly insurmountable foe. The fight for faith, for freedom, and for the very soul of the Jewish people had begun in earnest. The rugged hills of Judea, once a place of quiet refuge, became a haven for the resistance, and a bloody battleground where the fate of a nation would be decided. In the desolate wilderness, Mattathias and his sons found themselves joined by a growing number of the Hasidim, dedicated individuals known as the Pious Ones. These were men deeply committed to their faith and traditions. Initially fugitives seeking refuge from persecution, they soon transformed into a determined resistance movement, fueled by a burning desire for freedom. As his life drew to a close, Mattathias, recognizing the gravity of the situation, wisely appointed his son Simon as counselor, entrusting him with guidance and wisdom. And crucially, he designated Judas as the military leader, placing the fate of the rebellion in his capable hands. Judas, soon to be known as Maccabeus, a name that resonated with power, the hammer. With unwavering resolve, Judas transformed the ragtag group of rebels into a disciplined and effective fighting force, ready to confront the Seleucid might. Knowing they couldn't possibly face the well-equipped and numerically superior Seleucid army in a conventional head-on battle, Judas, with his strategic brilliance, mastered the art of guerrilla tactics, turning their weaknesses into strengths. His skilled fighters struck swiftly and decisively, always using the rugged terrain and natural features of the land to their advantage, catching the enemy off guard. Then, just as quickly, they vanished back into the familiar embrace of the hills, leaving the Seleucids frustrated and bewildered. These hit-and-run tactics not only inflicted casualties, but also severely demoralized the enemy forces, eroding their confidence and will to fight. And with each successful strike, the ranks of the Maccabees swelled, as more and more people, inspired by their courage, decided to join the cause. The Seleucid generals, blinded by arrogance and prejudice, consistently underestimated Judas and his fighters, sending larger and larger armies to crush the rebellion, only to be repeatedly outmaneuvered and humiliated on the battlefield. Stunning and decisive victories at strategic locations like Beth Horon served as undeniable proof of the rebels' growing strength and tactical prowess, shaking the foundations of Seleucid control. Judas, with his unwavering faith and military genius, became a powerful symbol of hope for the oppressed people of Judea, his remarkable leadership increasingly seen not just as strategic brilliance, but as divinely inspired, a sign of God's favor. The rebellion, fueled by faith and a thirst for freedom, grew exponentially, both in confidence and in sheer numbers. For the Maccabees, the cause had evolved. It was no longer simply about survival against religious persecution. It had become a full-fledged fight for liberation, a quest to reclaim their land and their freedom to worship. The legend of the hammer, Judas Maccabeus, spread like wildfire across Judea, inspiring hope and defiance in the hearts of the people. The fight for freedom, ignited by the Maccabees, was rapidly gaining unstoppable momentum, promising a new dawn for Judea. Judah's guerrilla campaign was relentless speed. Surprise and conviction were his weapons. The Seleucid armies, weighed down and unfamiliar with the land, struggled against the agile Maccabees. At the Battle of Emmaus, Judah outsmarted the enemy, capturing their camp and sending them fleeing in panic. This victory was a turning point, providing weapons, supplies, and hope. Judah's reputation as a brilliant commander was sealed. With the Seleucids in disarray, the path to Jerusalem opened. The true goal was not just military victory, but the restoration of the Holy Temple. The fight was always for sacred ground. Judah's followers marched as both soldiers and pilgrims. They were determined to reclaim their spiritual center. The final battle for Jerusalem was at hand. Entering Jerusalem, Judah and his followers found the temple in ruins, desecrated and abandoned. Sorrow turned to resolve. They began the work of purification. Faithful priests removed every trace of pagan defilement, building a new altar and crafting new holy vessels. On the 25th of Kislev, 164 BCE, the temple was ready. The rededication ceremony was filled with hymns, sacrifices, and the rekindling of the menorah's light. Joy swept through the people. The darkness had lifted. To commemorate this miracle, Judah and his brothers established an 8-day festival, Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights. It celebrated victory against overwhelming odds and the restoration of faith. The menorah's flame became a symbol of hope. The temple stood purified once more. The people rejoiced in their reclaimed heritage. Hanukkah would be celebrated for generations. The light of faith had survived. The rededication was a triumph, but the struggle for independence continued. Judah Maccabee led his people in battle, defending their hard-won freedom. In a final stand, vastly outnumbered, Judah chose to fight rather than flee, falling as a hero. Leadership passed to his brothers, Jonathan and Simon, who combined military skill with diplomacy. Through negotiation and force, they secured Judea's independence. The Hasmonean dynasty was born, and a Jewish kingdom endured for nearly a century. The Maccabees' sacrifice was immense. Mattathias and all 5 sons gave their lives for freedom. Their legacy was not just a purified temple, but a sovereign nation. Their courage forged a new chapter in Jewish history. The cost of liberty was high, but their example endures. The story of the Maccabees is one of faith, sacrifice, and the price of freedom. Their victory shaped the destiny of a people. The story of the Maccabees is more than history. It's a timeless lesson. It explores faith, bravery, and the fight to preserve identity against overwhelming odds. The Maccabees show that faith demands action, especially in times of crisis. Their revolt is the classic underdog tale, a small united group triumphing over a mighty empire. Their courage and strategy inspire hope for all who resist oppression. The story asks, what values would you defend even at great cost? The menorah's flame is a symbol of resilience and freedom. The Maccabees' spirit endures wherever people fight for their beliefs. The Book of Maccabees is a window into a pivotal moment that shaped Judaism and the world. Its story is part of a larger human narrative: struggle, faith, and survival. The Hasmonean dynasty set the stage for events that followed, including the rise of Rome and the New Testament era. Understanding the Maccabees gives context to later history and ongoing questions of faith and identity. Their story invites us to explore further, to seek out the echoes of their struggle in our own time. The past lives on in the present, guiding us still. Let this story spark curiosity and inspire courage. The Maccabees remind us the struggles of the past shape our world today.